the next talk coming up by Laith. Laith is a product design manager at Discovery Plus. Laith, welcome. How are you doing, man?
Hey, Sergey, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so happy to be here, man.
Thanks for joining. I bet you have an interesting story how you've designed and launched Discovery Plus platform.
Yeah,
I'll
definitely.
leave you to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So, hi everyone, welcome. My name is Laith Wallace, product design manager at Discovery. And today I want to talk to you about how we went about designing a global D2C platform and scale this out globally across the whole organization. But before we were Discovery Plus, we were once an organization called Dplay. And I was in the Dplay team, and Dplay was one of the many companies that Discovery owned. And Dplay's function specifically is mainly based in the Nordics still today. And as we move to a global brand, I want to speak to you about what we learned from Dplay that influenced the way we worked in Discovery Plus. Now, Dplay is mainly across the Nordics and other territories like Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Japan, and the UK. And as we transitioned, there were some key things that we learned as we worked across different platforms, from connected devices, mobile and responsive web. There were key things that we actually I want to share with you today that helped us transition, specifically when it comes on to building and in regards to data-driven design. And today, what I want to talk to you is a case study about how we specifically improved one part of our design journey, of our user journey, the product page, that really helped to increase conversions. So this was the old Dplay product page. You know, the design is flat, experience was poor. It was hard for users to know what to pick. The free actual tier, which is right at the bottom there, was mainly where a lot of our content came from. And this was causing a lot of problems, and we had low conversions specifically through this payment journey. What we began to do was assess internally how not only could we improve this, but also improve the way we worked with our developers so it could be a lot more streamlined and reuse components across different parts of the site. So we first developed what we call is a PR FAQ, which is a press release with frequently asked questions. In other words, forward thinking, how would we want this product, this piece of the product to be described across the different territories, and what checklists will we use to know that we have hit some key successful markets. So we would work with the local markets, discussing with them what would be their individual needs, because although we were working across one product in different territories, from a localization standpoint, there were some nuances from the car config files around specifically around localization, specifically also around language, and also content that was specific to that location as well. So there were many factors that we had to pay attention to as we began to go forward and improve our product page. Not only that, there was key things that we had to understand, like in-sector, out-sector analysis. We had to look at our UX guidelines to make sure we're following best practice. And also we would use Hotjar and many other analytics tools internally through Adobe Analytics to review what was currently happening with the analytics on the current product page, and then begin to see, okay, what could we assume going forward, and how could we improve based upon how the current product page is performing. So as we collated all of our insights and information, we would leverage that to begin to start putting together some initial designs. And we start with some click tests, some navigation tests, and we look at different elements from cards, and we would then do some preference tests as well. And then we would look at some testing in specific territories like in Finland or Sweden before we would roll it out across the whole of the organization. And as we began to see, we thought that initially we would have this kind of radio button style where you would click on the different package that the user wanted. And then through our preference tests and click tests, we realized that the cards would work more efficiently. And we were able to improve conversion up to 15% through these product journeys. And this was a great thing that the UX design team were able to improve and show. And a great thing here is, like, you're not only improving conversion, but it also improves the bottom line, brings in more revenue for the company. And if as a design team, you can show how you're bringing in more income, this is a great way to show the value you have as a team. This also increases the voice of the design team and allows you to be a lot more influential within the organization. So as we go forward, here you can see some of our finalized designs that began to take into consideration some of the content the user would be consuming across entertainment, lifestyle, as well as sport, because we also own the Eurosport brand, and that also integrated with a lot of our package as well. Whoops, low battery. Sorry, guys. Let me just plug in quickly before my Mac shuts down. Yes. So that allowed us to develop a user journey that was a lot more effective, spoke directly to the customer's needs, took into consideration the local territories and their individual needs, as well as allow for localization for any specific products, different product packages that we would have per territory as well. Because certain territories would have different packages, even though it was one global product. And that created a lot of nuances that was quite challenging, but we were able to work with and overcome. And here you can begin to see how the imagery would change depending upon different territories. Some of the product descriptions and the nuances for each product would change as well. But the design that we had allowed that flexibility across the different territories and allowed our team to become a lot more noticeable in the company because we were able to showcase how our design work was impacting bottom line. So really, this is the key thing. Before the design phase, we're looking at real data. We're trying to understand what is happening. This is a shot here from our analytics tool to see what is happening. And then now post design, we look at some key analytics and we quantify our user experience across these 5 specific metrics going forward. One of the key things we do is we use the HEART framework developed by Google, looking at happiness, engagement, adoption, retention, and task success. Now, this actual framework for measuring user experience, and it also impacts what we design as well, was super effective to help us to see how successful our design can be. And once it's launched, how successful our design has been. So it allows us to think proactively going forward and also think retrospectively going back as to what we have done and how well it's worked. And we was able to integrate a lot of our work into a scalable design system that was great as well. So when we looked at the product, we were able to first, how we built out the design system was we started with a checklist that allowed us to see across the different areas from navigation, registration, forms, trust and credibility, task orientation, homepage, and others. How can we measure our UX design capabilities currently, leveraging a lot of the kind of key guidelines that are already available and seeing where do we rank with our UX currently. So we did a usability checklist. We then did a UI audit, looking at where the buttons and styles and colors and fonts, and beginning to see the variations across different platforms and begin to notice that there was incredible inconsistency across the whole product, even down as simple things as icons, and how we began to summarize this into an icon set of between 10 to 15 icons instead of having so many. I think we calculated about 50 different styles. This is only a snapshot of some of the things that we found as well. We had well over 100 different colors across the platform, shades of colors across the platform. As different developers came on board without a solid design system and style guide in place, people would kind of like hack it all together. And this really hurt the holistic look and feel of the design. So we had to solve the problem through using the design system. And this allowed us to really think about the considerations around design and really look at the scope, time, cost, and accessibility across how we would work. So we wanted to scope things out so we'd have the least amount of changes. We wanted to make sure that what we propose could work within the least amount of time because we had some really hard deadlines. And because we would factor in, there was, as staff members, also there was contractors in our team. We had to also, from a management level, think about how much it's costing the business and also make sure it's accessible to as many people as possible. And when we began to look at our design system, because of the way that we built it, we were able to think about it being reusable, efficient, consistent, and memorable. We were able to think about the reusability of it to enable interactions that reduce workload. Our efficiency was about how do we help and work with our developers to make sure that what we're designing allows for quicker development and release as well. We were able to be consistent because we were thinking about now across all platforms, and we were able to measure our work through using data-driven design along with the HEART framework, which was super effective for us. So you can see snapshots of our style guide. And as we go forward, we began to do a lot of testing, and then across the dedicated squads that we had as well, this allowed for different feedback loops. So we would have squads per platform, and then we'd have squads for different missions, but I won't go into that for now. But this allowed us to now work every 2 times a week. We would begin to review what we've done for our design system, learning from what we did from our product and packaging pages, and create spreadsheets that would assign different work and improvement work to different team members. And there would be dedicated product managers, project managers along the way that would help us push our design system through. So it would work by having these specific design tokens that would hold all of the information around our design system. And then our developers would embed that into a design token, and that would be spat out to encode to the different platforms as well, to make sure the consistency was there across our design system. And this allowed us to, even though as designers, we were developing these spreadsheets that allowed us to look at, okay, what are we going to call our colors? What's the names of our colors, variations of our colors, and look at how our developers are translating that into code. We were then able to look at how we can have visual consistency across everything, but specifically working with our developers to think about what the names should be. Sometimes as designers, we can come across with names that we think could work, but when we worked with our developers, the names came from them, and they were able to work with us directly. And we were always also, now going forward, as we move into Discovery Plus, I'll speak to you about later, we were able to now embed this into our Figma style guide as well, because this is all when we were using Sketch. So here you can see the improved design, a lot more engaging, a lot more visual, a lot more impactful, and also embedded into our design system, because we are leveraging sport as well as a key thing that we're working with in Tide of Discovery. This is for the Allsvenskan football league. So this was able to become a lot more effective across different platforms. And now as we move into Discovery Plus, some of the key things that we were able to gain, able to learn, is really around, now we've become a lot more global, UK, US, across the Europe and different parts of the world, Singapore as well as LATAM and multiple different parts of the world. Discovery Plus is now available. Now the product is a lot more flexible and a lot more efficient. We're able to scale out and build a lot quicker. There's still multiple areas to improve, but if you go to discoveryplus.com or discoveryplus.co.uk, you can now see the live Discovery Plus product, which has embedded a lot of that thinking from a design system previously and allowed us to create a product that is a lot more efficient and a lot more effective and super streamlined to what we want to do going forward. And with so many different well-known brands from Discovery, Animal Planet, Food Network, TLC and others, as well as Eurosport becoming such a big part of which is a big part of the Discovery brand, we're able to now leverage what we learned from our previous work with Dplay, embed this here into Discovery Plus, and now feed that out into new parts of the design as well. And we're able to now internally, we use a tool, Figma. I'm hoping a lot of people know Figma. Figma is a great tool that we use, and now we're using it globally. We're working on using it. I'm working with the team to use it globally, internally as well. And it's been able to speed up our efficiency within the team, literally between 4 to 5 times. We're about 4 to 5 times faster because we're using in-cloud design system, and are able to get our developers involved and allowed to become a lot more streamlined in the way that we design our products as well. So the key takeaways from what we learned from first designing for Dplay and now designing with Discovery Plus is really, you want to get clear on the problem, and that's why the PR FAQ was super clear. It helps us get super streamlined on the problem and very specific as to what we were done. We were able to localize our user testing. We were able to monitor and improve using the Heart framework, and also that collaboration is key to keep yourselves streamlined in what you're working on. And remember that systems need maintaining. So once you're working on this, please make sure you have regular updates, regular check-ins. Systems need super maintenance. You almost need somebody within your team, and we have that within our team, who specifically just focuses on the design system, works on the design system, maintains the design system, collaborates any changes within the design system. We have a Slack channel where we communicate that as well, because without the maintenance of the design system and without consistent communication with your developers around the design system, you can actually get back to where you were coming from. So the key thing here is to make sure that you're working directly with your developers. You're having consistent check-ins to make sure any nuances and changes is also communicated to the team and then reflected in your designs as well. So I really want to thank you so much for having me. This has been great today.